everybody. Today I'm going to show you how to make a green smoothie. I've actually been drinking them for a while now and I love them because they're really easy to make and they taste good. But the best part is that you can get a lot of greens in, and I've always been the type of person that has a hard time eating lots of salads because I feel like I keep eating and eating and it's just still there in front of me, which is very frustrating. So when I first found out about green smoothies and loved the taste and saw how much greens I could actually be getting in, I was really excited. So today I'm going to show you how to make one. This one actually is adapted from the recipe on Tim Van Orden's site. And the reason why I actually adapted it was because I didn't have all the ingredients, but it turned out to be delicious and I loved it. So that's what I'm going to show you today. Okay, so the first thing when making any type of green smoothie you need is a strong blender. I like to use the Vitamix myself. It's actually the only strong blender that I've used and I love it. I think it works really great. The reason why you want a strong blender is because if you do use frozen fruits, it works really well. Also, the difference between the consistency of the smoothies is just, like, you won't believe how smooth it comes out with the Vitamix, and you don't see any pieces of like greens, which could like turn some people off. So I really like the Vitamix. Some people use the Blendtec blender, which I've also heard is really good, but I've had this Vitamix for a few years now and it really works great. So once you set your blender all up, okay, the first thing that you need is a base. And I like to use bananas for the base because I like the taste, they're sweet, and they're inexpensive, they're easily accessible everywhere, so it's a really great base to use. They also make the smoothie like a little more thick, which I like. So I enjoy using them for lots of my bases. But you could also use apples, pears, mangoes are really good. So you can just kind of experiment and see what. One other thing I wanted to mention is how you can tell if the bananas are ripe, because you really want to make sure that they're ripe. If they're like sweeter, and then they're not going to also leach minerals out of your body, which unripe fruit can do. So you can tell that they're ripe by seeing all of the brown spots on the banana. And a lot of people think that they're bad, but this is actually when they're the sweetest and they're really good. So this recipe calls for 2 bananas, and I think that's usually a good amount to use for the base. So I'm going to put my bananas in there first. If you do decide to add to it some frozen fruit, which sometimes I do, that's what I would usually add next. Okay, and then I'm going to add the liquid. So this recipe calls for 2 cups of water. Okay, you want to try, if you can, use filtered water, or spring water. You can also use coconut water, apple juice, orange juice. Of course, if you use a juicer and make your own fresh apple juice or orange juice, that's always best. Coconut water is really tasty too. But for this recipe, we're just going to use water, and I usually use that because I feel like it's already pretty sweet already. So this recipe, so 2 cups of water. If you want it a little bit thicker, you would use less water, obviously. A lot of times I like my smoothies even thicker, but I do notice that if I add more water, it's great because sometimes I have a hard time drinking water throughout the day. So if I add the 2 cups in my smoothie, I'm getting in the much needed water also. So I have my 2 cups of water, my banana. Okay, so now it's time to add in the greens. And this recipe calls for about 3 to 4 stalks of kale. And I had curly kale because there's actually a couple of different kinds. This is curly kale because you can see it's got curly edges. And there's also dinosaur kale, which kind of looks like the skin of a dinosaur. It's more long and flat. I've used both of them before in smoothie recipes and they're really good. The one change that I've made before when I made smoothies, I would always throw the whole thing in, which, you know, you can still do, and I still might do sometimes, but I noticed that when Tim was making his smoothie, he actually kind of tore off the leaves, and I actually think it kind of comes out sweeter, like it's not as bitter when you throw in the stem. So, so I'm just going to put all the kale, and you can see, like, this is a lot. I'm stuffing in. This is a lot of kale. I think it's actually 4 or 5 stalks. So I'm going to put that in. Okay, and then I'm going to add to that 2 tablespoons of hemp seeds. This is the Nutiva. I like this brand, but you can even buy it in bulk. And the hemp seeds is really good because you're getting the omega-3 fatty acids, which are really healthy and really important. So I'm just going to put in 2 tablespoons. Okay, and then I'm going to add in some dulse. Dulse is actually a sea vegetable. You can find it in packages like this. You want to try to look for the kind that's not toasted, but if you happen to use that kind, is fine also. And what I did was you just want to rinse it off because you might find like little shells, or kind of a little dirt. I remember the first time I saw shells in the dulse, like I thought that was crazy, like little tiny shells. So I just kind of rinsed it off, and then I'm just going to put that in. The recipe called for a tablespoon of the dulse flakes. I actually didn't have any. Those are kind of easier, just kind of pour it in your measuring spoon. But since I didn't have it, I just rinsed off the whole dulse that I had and just put that in. Okay, and that's it basically. So I'm gonna pop the top on and start it up, and I'm just gonna blend it until I really can't see big pieces of the greens. Okay, so now that I have my green smoothie all blended, I like to use mason jars to put them in because I like using glass. It's nice, you don't get any of that plastic aftertaste. And this was actually a smoothie that I had made on my first take. This is my second take. And I'm just going to just pour it in. Okay, and there you have it. So you can just pop the top on, and you can, even bring it to work with you or bring it out. You want to try not to drink the smoothie, just gulp it all down. You want to just kind of sip it. I personally like smoothies within, a couple of hours most. I kind of don't like when they're sitting around for a while. I think then they start to oxidize, but if you're drinking, especially within 20 minutes, but even a couple hours, if you keep it cold in the fridge, or put an ice pack in a bag if you bring it to work or school, then it stays fresh and still tastes really good. Also, I really like these blender bottles. I have a couple of these. Sometimes I'll bring them to work. They're just lighter, so they're easier to carry, and they have a little ball inside that you can kind of shake up the smoothie after a while. I think kids really like them too. They're fun. They're easy to clean, and you can transport it that way. So yeah, I hope you try this recipe and kind of experiment with it and try some of your own, and let me know if you come out with a recipe that's really good. So enjoy.